So one of the most fundamental things that everyone goes through when trying to become more social and generally when living a more kind of social, outgoing, extroverted life is embarrassing ourselves in public. It's happened to me, it's probably happened to you, and I'm gonna be honest, it's probably gonna happen to you another 100 times, and it's probably gonna happen to me another 100 times minimum. But the important thing to understand about this is that it's a fundamental part of socializing. It's something that's always gonna happen. It's like asking if the sky is always gonna stay blue. Yeah, it probably is gonna always stay blue, and you all are probably always gonna be kind of awkward, kind of saying something stupid, kind of having people laugh at you, kind of having people not laugh at you when you want to be like funny. You're gonna be kind of bombing. I think that's like it's like a term that comedians use, like when you bomb it's like when you have a shitty performance, you're gonna be embarrassing yourself and doing all this kinds of shit forever, for as long as you're socializing. Sure, it's gonna get less and less common as you become better and more confident and more charismatic and more relaxed around people, but it's always going to happen. And the important thing to learn isn't to try to avoid these situations because they are, in fact, inevitable, but it's to learn to cope with them. It's to learn to wake up the next morning and not spend the next 2 days distracting yourself on TikTok just so you don't have to think about the embarrassing thing that you did last night, or that you said last night, or that happened to you yesterday at last night. And through my journey of improving my communication skills, social skills, whatever, and reading tons of books on this and watching tons of YouTube videos, one thing that I also learned, kind of on, I guess, a side quest, but also something that helps, the whole thing about social skills, is I learned how to kind of take some kind of painful memories, situations, and stuff, and kind of take their power from them and kind of just turn them into like I don't really care. Kind of lose any negative feelings that I have towards them and stop really learn to kind of just not care about them as much anymore and not be hurt by them as much. And there are two things which I learned. The first thing I learned from this self-improvement YouTuber called Hamza. It's it's called something like I don't remember what it is, but it's essentially just journaling. What you do exactly is you take out a piece of paper and a pen or a notebook, wherever. You can do it on your phone, but I think it's better if you do it on like a physical pen and paper. And you literally just write down like a story of the exact events which took at the time that that the painful thing, embarrassing, whatever happened to you. So writing down, let's say you went and you slipped and you fell at the club in front of all the people and now you're embarrassed. You write down, I was at this club and I was walking and then I slipped and I fell right at this place and these people laughed at me, whatever, whatever. You write down the exact story and you make sure, this is the most important part, you make sure to, as you're writing it, truly like visualize yourself back in that situation and feel the emotion that you should have felt back then, right? Feel the embarrassment, feel the kind of the anxiety, the stress, the fear, the whatever. Feel all of these emotions. Essentially, what you're doing by writing this and feeling these emotions is like you're essentially just getting over the problem. Because if you don't do this, and you're constantly just kind of reminding yourself of, oh, I did this thing, I'm so embarrassed, it's kind of like you're just stabbing yourself with a knife over and over and over again for the next like few weeks or maybe even months or years because you can't get over it. But by doing this, by journaling and by fully feeling that emotion, you help yourself to kind of get over it. And so the next time, if you do this correctly, the next time you remember it, you're probably not gonna care. You're gonna think about it and it's gonna be kind of embarrassing and still because logically, yeah, it's kind of a dumb situation, but you're not gonna have that pain in your chest. You're not gonna have that, that anxiety, that stress, that pain whenever you think about it. You're gonna think about it, but it's kind of just gonna be a normal memory, as if you're thinking about the fact that yesterday you went and you ate pizza at some pizzeria, right? It's just gonna be like a whatever event. It doesn't cause you any pain when you think about it. The second thing which I learned from a book, I don't remember exactly which one, but it was like this exact quote that I remember, which I always find very interesting. It was, the more you talk about your shame, the less of it you have. Essentially, if again there was some shit that you did like that, and this is something that I tested by the way, and it does work, which is crazy. By you going and actually speaking to other people, like telling other people that you went and you did this thing, you start kind of caring about it less. Like, let's say again, it was a thing you slipped at the bar, right? If you're kind of keeping it quiet, and let's say you were there with a few friends and you were just hoping that they didn't see you, and when they talk about that night at the bar, you kind of just shy off and you're like, oh yeah, I have no story from that day. It just takes that embarrassment and that shame or whatever, and it just it doesn't multiply, but it still maintains it up high. Because now you're hoping that they didn't see you, and you're hoping that they're not gonna tell the story of them seeing you like falling over, and they're gonna have the whole group laughing at you. But somehow, like paradoxically or whatever, I don't know how this works. If you are actually the one who goes into the group and tells everyone like, yeah, when we were there at that night, I fell and it was super embarrassing. It was super funny. Like, yeah, I slipped, I was drunk, whatever. I fell, haha. And you kind of make it into a joke. You'll notice that the moment you kind of stop telling the story, you finish it up, and everyone laughs and everything. It's like a little bit of the weight has been shifted or lifted off your chest, and now it's a bit of it's a lot less kind of embarrassing. You're a lot less kind of ashamed of it, and you can speak about it a lot more kind of openly. And then you say it the next time, and maybe by the time you're telling the story like a third time, it's like another story. It's like as if you're telling your friend about how yesterday you went to school and you did an exam. It's like telling the most basic zero emotion story that you can think of, because all of that, again, negative emotions and everything, like that those emotions that story, that memory holds over you, kind of just disappear by you going and speaking about it to other people. That's a very interesting thing as well that I found. Literally just kind of mentioning in conversation. And if you're afraid that people are going to laugh at you and bully you for it, you gotta understand, bullying only really works if you're denying it, right? If someone tells you you're fat and you're like, I'm not fat, whatever, now you're giving them power to bully you. But if they tell you you're fat or you're ugly or you're short and you say, yeah, I guess I am, now you took away all their power. Because bullying isn't about them telling you you're ugly, it's about you kind of getting offended and kind of getting defensive and then them attacking you more. But if you're open and you're like, yeah, I guess I'm kind of ugly, now you take away all their power. So if you say, yeah, I went and I slipped up in the club and I fell on my ass and it was funny, no one's gonna be like, haha, for the next, like, for the entirety of your life, like, yeah, you did this thing, whatever. Because you were the one who said it. You were the one who were open about it, who were like, yeah, it's kind of a funny situation. So now no one really has that kind of power or whatever over you to bully you. So if you're the one who goes out and says it confidently, like it happened to me, whatever, people are just gonna laugh about it, and that's it. So those were a few things that you can try, and which might help you. So when eventually, when not if, but when you do end up like embarrassing yourself or doing some dumb shit, you can try them out. And yeah, if you want to learn to improve your communication skills in a very short amount of time and very easily, and you want to learn the best information that I've learned in the last 3.5 years that I've been studying about this topic, you can check out the first link in the description. If you found this video helpful, I think you'll find a lot of value in this video. Click on the subscribe button and do the work.